What's going on, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have something really special lined up, and that is going over a camera that completely ruined my film experience when I first started, and that is this camera here. This camera here is essentially a knockoff version of the Holga camera, which is the first camera I started with when I started shooting film many years ago. I actually shot this camera for 3 weeks and returned it, never shot film again. And if you don't believe me, here's the review that I wrote back in 2012 calling this camera garbage. Unfortunately, I didn't know much about film when I bought this camera. I had a friend that shot this a lot. They really liked it. They showed me some of the images and I was kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like those pictures. Like, let me go buy one. They're not that expensive. I believe I found one on eBay for like $5 or somewhere along those lines. I shot around maybe 4 rolls and I just completely stopped shooting film after that. I hated every image that came out of that camera. They were either extremely blurry, they were either just unviewable, or I would take pictures of something and when I got my film developed, I was like, what are these pictures? None of these pictures look like what I took pictures of. And that's because I didn't know anything about Holgas. You know, essentially, just to give you an idea of how little I knew about cameras, I thought a Holga was a point and shoot, which is obviously not essentially the case. Holga cameras are extremely unique. After shooting film for many years, I finally kind of got the gist of what these cameras are. They're essentially designed cheap on purpose. The whole camera is made of plastic. If you've never shot a Holga before, just take a listen to how cheap this sounds. I mean, the entire camera is made out of plastic and everything is plastic. Even the lens is plastic. And the only thing that's really metal on here is this hot shoe mount. But if you open the back of this camera, it's all plastic. And you know what this camera does is it essentially is designed to take away the distractions of all the complicated settings that are in film photography and just have you focus on composition. And that's it. This camera does not let you pre-visualize any shot like if you were utilizing an SLR. This camera is completely unpredictable. You can have light leaks, fuzziness, you know, very soft images, and that's the way that this is essentially designed. The back is not light proof, so if you are shooting color film, you are gonna see like strange light leaks appearing or flares occurring in your film. And if you're shooting black and white, you might see like white streaks coming across or odd things occurring within the middle of your, or on the edges of your film. So it's a really interesting camera. I shot this camera for 3 weeks and said, film sucks. I don't wanna go back to it. So when I saw this camera sitting on a thrift store shelf in the kids section, I told myself that is a toy camera that ruined everything. So I bought it. I bought this camera for 99 cents and I told myself I'm going to make sure that the next time I use this camera that there's something that I like about it, because when I first started it was just a really terrible experience. So that's where we are now. Essentially, this camera again is designed to take very experimental looks, and I guess you can call this the lo-fi camera of the photo world or the film world. Very unpredictable. So I don't know if this camera works. I've had it sitting in my camera shelf now for about a year since I bought this. I haven't got a chance to shoot this because I've been nervous. So I'm gonna shoot a roll of TriX 400 through here. I have a roll of 24 exposures, so I'm going to use that because I don't want to put 36 in here because I don't even know if this camera is going to work. So I'm going to load this camera up. We're going to take this to the streets of San Francisco to see what kind of pictures we can produce, and yeah, after the video we can go over some of my favorite images and what I liked and if I would ever shoot this camera again. So let's get this camera loaded and let's hit the streets of San Francisco and see what we can capture. What's going on, everyone? So welcome back. So that was the photo walk. I hope everyone enjoyed that. So I did actually like some of the images that came out of this. I liked around 2 images in all, which of course is not the entire roll, which is fine. It's all good. But yeah, would I shoot this camera again? Yeah, I think I would shoot this camera again. I think if I was needing some inspiration and want to shoot something completely different, I think this camera will definitely come in handy for those types of scenarios. Did I run into issues with this camera? I did run into some issues. I noticed that the exposure counter on here is not working, so I really didn't know what picture I was on when I was out and about. And the other thing I ran into was an image that looked like this. This is one of the reasons I stopped shooting Holgas to begin with. I was taking pictures of some things at some point and I would get my pictures back and it looked like nothing that I took pictures of. I think I took a picture of the street with this one, but you can see it doesn't look anything like the street. But again, it's a Holga camera. It's going to be unpredictable. You may have some shots that appear, some shots that don't. And in this case, this picture did not come out. For the most part, I didn't have any other issues other than those 2 things. The camera worked relatively smoothly, and the picture quality, of course, is not going to be the greatest. Just remember, it's a plastic lens. It's not a glass lens. It's not like you're going to be shooting out of a nice, expensive lens. This is just a cheap 1.99 lens. But yeah, it gave me some really interesting results. I really liked 2 images, and the first one is this one here. I really like the way that this picture came out. I love the way that the Powell Street is just in focus, but then in the foreground you can see like a mob of people in the back, and it almost looks like you're in a dream, like, very lo-fi look again, and it just really matches that aesthetic of the Holga cameras. And the next one is this one here. I just love the way the sun kind of peeks through, and then you can see kind of people rushing through or walking through. It almost looks like this picture again is moving, and it's also, again, very dreamlike, which is actually really cool. I would definitely print these 2 pictures out. I really like the way these came out. Of course, there were some really odd things that happened, and here's what I mean with the Holga camera not being completely lightproof. I took these pictures at the same exact time. You can see that one of them has like flaring on the corner here, and the other one does not. This is something that is expected with Holgas because of the lack of light proofing that's in the back, so keep that in mind. I just wanted to share that with you to get you an idea of what can happen. But yeah, I think every photographer should have a Holga camera in their on their shelves or wherever, and when inspiration is low or when there is no inspiration, maybe shooting one of these will kind of open some doors to maybe your next project. I don't know. Would I shoot this camera professionally? Absolutely not. Would I shoot this camera over, a Pentax K1000? Probably not. But again, I would definitely, whip this camera out if I was in a creative rut and wanted some inspiration. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure you like this, and also be sure to subscribe. I'm always going to be having some new things coming up. My next episode is going to be going over a camera that's extremely economical and that I really like. So stick around for that, and I hope to see everyone on the next episode. Thank you so much for all the support, and we will see each other again soon. See ya.